All right. The next thing that we're going to talk about, on the guitar and everything, now that we got your positioning down, and we've got your elbow resting up here, and we've got the wrist going across here, we're going to talk about what you're going to be doing with your left hand. The first thing you want to be doing with your left hand is you want to make sure you're keeping, especially if we're doing, what we can do is we have two kinds of things that we can do on the guitar. The first thing we can do is chords, which are multiple things strummed at one time, and they're all notes, all individual notes strummed at one time across the guitar. So like a chord sounds like this, where you're going across all the strings at one time, or maybe a few particular strings at one time, and you're putting many different notes together into one thing, and as I strum across it, you'll notice it sounds like multiple things at one time, multiple notes, and that's called a chord. So a chord is 3 notes or more put together and strummed at one time. Then the other thing, and remember, if you notice when I strum that, or go across there, you'll notice that I do a full strumming motion across the guitar right there. And it's real important whenever we talk about holding the pick and everything to use the wrist as you do that. The other thing that you're going to be able to learn how to do in guitar as well is play single notes at one time, which is actually pressing on each individual note on the guitar. Which is that's a little bit easier kind of stuff, being able to just play each kind of note one at a time. Just like I'm playing right now, I'm playing individual notes and I'm playing them with the pick, nice and small movements and everything, and you'll notice that my right hand is rested on the guitar right now too. Okay? So those are the two kinds of things that we're going to be talking about. You're going to learn how to do chords, which are multiple notes, 3 notes or more at one time, and then also the other thing is that you can hit individual notes at the same time as well. So that'll be something you'll be doing a little bit later, and we'll talk about that as we get a little bit better. So the next thing we need to learn how to do is, after we understand that what we're going to be doing is we're either going to do chords or we're going to do single notes, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about what we need to know. We need to know the names of the strings of the guitar. And once you get the names of the strings down, then you need to let me know that so then we can continue on. So we got the names of the strings of the guitar. A lot of people memorize it many different ways. There's all kinds of ways for you to do it. But first of all, we're going to start with the biggest string up top, okay? So the biggest string up top is the big E string. So big E, okay? And then the next string after that, it's really cool, is it goes to A next, and then it goes to D after that, and it goes to G, and then B, and then the very last one is E. Okay? So if you're starting from the top string, the biggest string, going down to the little one down here, we got big E, A, D, G, B, and little E. Okay, so big E and little E, and notice that you have 2 E's on your guitar. You got one up top and one down here in the bottom. Okay, and one thing you'll need to know a little bit about too is we have what's called the musical alphabet, and the musical alphabet is it's shorter than our regular alphabet, the English alphabet. The musical alphabet is smaller, and it goes from A through G. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it stops at the letter G, and it doesn't go to H or anything like that. It goes right back to the letter A. So you need to remember that the musical alphabet goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it stops there and it returns back to A. So it's very important to remember, because later on in your chords and everything that you learn, we'll talk about that as we learn how to play them. You definitely need to know that. So remember, musical alphabet, A through G, and then let's talk about the strings one more time. We got big E, A, D, G, B, and little E at the bottom, okay? The next thing you want to remember how to do is, in the musical alphabet, this is just some kind of musical knowledge stuff that you're going to need to know. You're going to want to know the musical alphabet goes from A to G, and whenever you go from one thing to another, there's a certain distance between it. And there's only 2 types of distances that you can actually have between a note. That means if I'm going from the letter A and I go to B after that, there's a type of distance in between there, and you can actually see it on the guitar, and we're just going to show you real quick. And if you notice, you can see on there, I've got these little markers on the guitar right there, and basically they're just kind of helpful little things for the guitar players to know about. And what I told you a second ago is about the distances between notes. The distance between notes is either what's called a whole step or a half step, okay? So we have the letters in the alphabet, A, B, C, D, F, G, and there's only two types of steps that we can do. We have what's called a whole step, and you'll notice it goes from one of these markers to another marker. That would be a whole step. And that means no matter where I go, it could be here or here or here. I mean, no matter where I go on the guitar, if I put a fret in between something and go to another fret and skip a fret, that's a whole step. You can see how it looks with my fingers right there. It's a whole step jump. And you can see what it looks like as I'm doing it. It can be anywhere on the guitar, but be a whole step. So if you can guess what that is, that's the whole step. So guess what a half step is? It's only a 1 fret jump. So it's only going from this fret here to this fret right here. Okay? So that's something you're going to be able to notice about. So you either have what's called a whole step, which is this kind of a jump. Okay? Or we could do the half step jump, which is that kind of a jump. Okay? So whole step, half step. Okay? And in the musical alphabet, what's really cool about it is it's really easy to memorize where whole steps and half steps are in our musical alphabet, because those are only two places in the musical alphabet that have half steps. And that is between B and C and E and F. Okay? So between B and C and E and F in the musical alphabet, there's only going to be 1 fret in between of those. Okay? That's a half step jump. And then between everybody else is a whole step jump. So it will be 2 frets, which will be like that right there. Okay? So it'll be like that kind of a jump. So let's recall what we've got. We have the musical alphabet, which goes from A through G. And we have 2 types of distances between those notes in the musical alphabet. And those 2 types of distances are whole step and half step. And then from the whole step and half step, we find out in the musical alphabet there are only 2 places that have half steps, and that's between B and C and E and F. And that's all we really want to cover for right now. We just wanted to make sure you understand that kind of stuff. And you're going to see where that's going to come into play later on in your guitar. And then let's talk about the names of the strings real quick, and then we will stop the video. So we got big E on the top, the low string. Then we've got A. Then we have D. Then we have G, B, and the last string, the smallest one, is little e. So we're going from top to bottom down here. So top to bottom. All right? And there we go. We'll pick up on the next thing, and we're going to talk about how to play the guitar and everything next. Okay?